Jonathan Agov here for Pro Boxing Fans, up here in Sheffield with the British Super Flyweight champion Sonny Edwards. Sonny, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good. Come down to see you. It's nice to, be introduced as the British Super Flyweight champion. I don't know if that's the first time I've noticed that, to be honest, the first time I've heard it. So yeah,
Did you
nice.
forget?
Nah, I didn't forget, but it's nice to hear come from someone else.
I mean, I think you collected 3 titles last year. You sort of went through, defended, I think, the WBO Intercontinental, correct me if I'm wrong, and then you moved up to Superfly to challenge for the British title, won it. How do you reflect on last year? Have you had a chance to sort of assess it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a good year. It's been a good period for me, to be honest. The last about 15, 16 months now, it's just been great. It all kick-started off with the Farag fight, Granados, Matos, Guarneros, Granados, not Granados, I'm forgetting them all, Guarneros, Gallardo, sorry, and then Marcel Braithwaite. They're all winning fighters, all came with ambitions of their own, all title fights in a short space of time, and I came through pretty much all of them with dropping a very, very small amount of rounds. I did get put down twice in those 6 fights, but it is what it is. I was never too hurt in either of them, and I've won pretty much the rest of the fights from that moment onwards, both times. So, in
that Marcel Braithwaite fight, you did come off the canvas to win. Now, the shot he hit you with, was it sort of a flash knockdown? It looked like a pretty heavy punch, but you're saying you sort of rode the storm and obviously you won the fight. But what was going through your mind when you did hit the canvas?
Do you mean the Zelfa Barrett fight? Yeah, I seen that. That was you, wasn't it? It was you, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. He hated that, he was fuming. I messaged him and he ignored it, He ignored that message. Zelfa didn't like that one bit. But yeah, do you know what?
I'd just like to apologise to Zelfa Barrett. I will come and interview Zelfa. It was a mistake, and I've learnt from it. I hope there's no offence caused.
Do you mean Marcel? He caught me and he got me good, do you know what I mean? And I weren't my legs weren't all over the place, or I weren't heavily rocked or hurt. What happened was, if you look at the pattern of most of the fight, when he threw the first shot, I would lean back. When he threw the second one, because I'd lean and edge back, and when he threw the second one, I'd go to the side, and that's how I was making a miss at pretty much everything. Whether he picked up on it, whether it's his coaches or he doubled up the attack, he went for a double jab, missed, but then for a right hand left hook, where what I was doing was going slip, and then counter on a single shot. Like I said multiple times, my hands were hurting, so what I was trying to do is make him miss, and then just walk him onto a shot, and then I don't have to put too much power into it. It will probably be better for my hands to do that, and I'm still looking clear, winning. But he's doubled up, and then as I've slipped, I've gone to throw back, and he just went right hand left hook and through with me, and the way out, the position of my legs, the first right hand put my leg in the air, and then the left hook put me on my arse. You know what I mean? So you can even see I got up. Obviously I wasn't happy with getting put down, but you could see I had all my faculties, and I stayed on the 8th, I've got the experience, and for me it's a minor thing. I don't care. Say if I could get dropped in every single one of my remaining fights, and as long as my hand's up at the end, and no one's arguing that my hand's up at the end, then that's all that matters to me. Everything in that 1 to 12, there's too much, you know what I mean? So I took a lapse in concentration, and like I've said before, and even said to him, I feel like he hit me with better shots in the 2nd round, maybe in the 5th round as well, when I've slipped on and he's caught me with clean left hook and that, like bigger shots that I'm probably more affected by up here. But obviously it's just a position and everything, and he got me and he got me good. But I do really feel like after that it really woke me up, and for the rest of the duration of the fight, the rest of that round, he didn't really do anything else, and 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 I was cleared, do you know what I mean? There was no argument for any of those rounds. So arguably it could have been the best thing that happened in it, and it sort of changed the performance and made it a bit more dramatic, and pulled a better performance out of me in the last 5 rounds. So yeah, it's still something I'm not happy about. I don't want to get dropped by anyone, but I got the win, and I was there, and it really, more than anything, it woke me up. I feel like I needed that. It was because of certain things like my hands and whatnot. The pace of the fight wasn't what I wanted it to be. What was the action of the fight wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I was still winning pretty comfortable without having to do too much. So it changed that pattern, which could have been a good thing. But it's just another lesson as well, not to switch off and think, these people can't hurt you, because anyone at any weight, if they catch you clean, they can hurt you. And then obviously, like a lot of people are saying, if he was like a big puncher, then that could have been the end. And of course it could have been, but it could have been the end against him. Do you know what I mean? So, but me, I'm still confident. So I know I can take a shot, Both times I've been put down. It's positioning and stuff like that, which obviously I can work on, and because my defence is one of my best things, but when I'm enjoying myself a bit too much and getting a bit complacent, then them shots often do get through. But like I said, I boxed smart and recovered well, and I used the ring, walked him onto shots, frustrated him, and then really by half of the 8th round he looked a bit knackered. You know what I mean? It's like he put a lot into trying to, and then when he realised actually it's going back to the same pattern it was before, it probably brought him down that little bit more as well. Do you know what I mean? Because he probably thought, now we're going to build on that, and it just didn't happen. And I think by the 9th round, there was one time where he dropped his hands, and I pretty much threw about 6 or 7 unanswered shots, and he didn't really get out of the way of me. Just like he couldn't, because he was getting quite fatigued. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a good learning fight, another stepping stone for me. Like I said, it would be. I knew it would be tough enough. I knew it would be a complete walkover, but I did what I said I was going to do all through the fight before it, and that was win clear, win wide, and win well.
I mean, when I spoke to you, I think it was in November time, and we were discussing sort of the upcoming British title fight. You sort of didn't think that you were going to challenge for the British title. There was talk about you moving on to world level. So what did it mean to you to win that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've wanted for a long time. It's something I've been ready for a long time. And this is why I respect Marcel, not as a person, but as a boxer as well. He stepped up, man, and then he took it, and then he'll be happy to do it again, or anyone else, and that's what I rate more than anything. Because it's all right being the best boxer in the world, but if you're not willing to fight any good boxers, then there's no point. And I feel like from that, I won. For a lot of people, I won 10 of the rounds clear. For me, I lost a second. I know one judge gave me it, but I lost a second. And then obviously the round I got put down in. And I had the rest of the fight, even though there was competitive rounds, I had the rest of the fight quite clear. Marcel's stock has gone nothing but up, do you know what I mean? And now he could get a fight of someone else that's a TV fighter and build a big fight. And then it's also a measuring stick for how they perform against him compared to how I perform. So he's in a good position where he'll get a few more opportunities now. And like I've said to him, the rematch is there if they want it. He's English champion, so arguably I'd like to have him as a mandatory if I'm gonna rematch him. But at the same time, if I can't get an offer for a voluntary, then it's that. Do you know what I mean? But
is that it though? Like, you need sort of these dance partners at sort of like domestic level, even though sort of the carrot's dangling for a world title potentially. It's good to have those sort of British sort of rivalries. I know you respect him and you rate him as a fighter, but it's sort of good to have those sort of rivalries.
This is what I've been trying to get across to people. I might be cheeky and I might say things and whatnot to these other fighters, but the reason why, as they say, the flyweights and super flyweights is what probably arguably the least attractive, domestic out of all the weights, because one, we have good talent. Like, we do that. That is without a shadow of a doubt. So the shallow pool, we have not the strongest, but we have a stronger side of things, definitely. You know what I mean? If you just look at flyweight, super flyweights, you got my brother, Cal Yafai, me, fucking Andrew Selby, Jay Harris, Tommy Frank, Harvey Horn, Joe Mafosa. There's a lot, and that's not all of them as well. Marcel, there's a lot. The biggest problem is no one wants to fight each other. Everyone wants to meet at the world level, and that's fine, but half of you aren't going to get there. Do you know what I mean? Half of you you aren't going to get there, and then you're going to be wanting to fight and one someone else gets the opportunity. And that's probably what's going to happen with me, is I was calling it and everyone was getting offered these fights for me. Every single person at the weight was getting offered these fights. And no one wanted to know, we're fighting world level, nah, not this, for one reason or the other. And say if the wheels are in motion and, we've still got a long way to go yet, but say if I get what we're hoping for next, and then I come through that, then all of a sudden I know for a fact that every single one's going to put their hand up, fight me. And they're all going to get told to go fuck off, to be honest. Unless it really makes the best beneficial for me. Because say if I do win a world title, sooner rather than later, the option, especially when you have a voluntary, I would rather fight one of the other fighters where it's going to be a big fight. I don't care about defending it 5, 6, 10, 15 times. I want to do that with good fights anyway. But you can build a much bigger fight with a domestic rival than you can in an international one, unless it's like they're a superstar. And how often does that happen? Not all that often at my weight. So I want all these people to do well and build up. I don't want them to do better than me, because when they meet in the ring with me, I want to beat them. Do you know what I mean? So, a good friend of mine, Jay Harris, who's a great fighter for WBC, if he gets that, it's a big ask. I said that to him. It's a big ask. Of course it is. Look at what Charlie and Selby, look at them fights, and Rosales, 3 more recognised, probably more with better reputations than Jay, with better bodies of work in their professional careers, and they all, fell very short of Martinez because he is a tremendous fighter. But that said, it's boxing, anything can happen. Jay wins that. That'd be the best thing that can happen for me, because then if I go and do what I'm trying to do, then we can jump in together and then it's a unification. Like, how often does that happen? Especially at these lighter weights. But the big thing is what I'm not looking forward to. Obviously, I've got to get there first. But if I get that world title, and then all of a sudden, all these fighters that have been turning down to fight with me, all of a sudden think, what, you don't want to fight me now? The answer is going to be no, unless there's like, one, I'm going to make sure you're getting paid very, very little. Because any potential purse for the fight, I want as much of that as possible. And just because, one, you don't really bring me anything, two, I'm giving you the opportunity, and three, you was turning down the fights years ago, months ago. So I'm not about to do no one no favours. And I don't care. And if my management team and promotion team, and because I understand that they look after, we've got mutual feelings and fighters, and if they want me to fight one of the same fighters on either my promotion side or the management side, then that's cool. But I'm expecting the big lion's share of the offer. And this is all perspective, because obviously I'm not even there yet. The fight's not made, but this is just what I'm thinking. And but like I said, that's why I want people like Jay Harris, Andrew Selby, even Mohammed Wasim. I know he's not actually British, but with MTK and whatnot. Like, I want all these fighters to do well, because you need that dancing partner. Like, I don't wish back. I'm not going to get nothing out of. I'm not going to get nothing out of, say, like a Harvey Horn falling short against someone rubbish, or Jay Harris falling short against Martinez, or Mohammed Wasim. Like, I'm not going to get nothing out of that, because you want it to build up to the biggest sum, and that's it. And then the more people that are big fans of theirs and are behind their successful careers, the more people that are behind yours, that when you meet, it's a bigger event. And especially our lower weights. That's why, when Charlie was WBC champion, why the fight never got made of him and Cal, whilst they're both world champions. I know Charlie be coming up, and so therefore you'd expect Cal to get that bit more because he's the current world champion of Superfly. But why that didn't happen is beyond me. Do you know what I mean? Because that would have been like a proper headline act, like, and a super flyweight. That never happens. So I don't know. That's just my perspective of everything. But I think a lot of people think that the fight's always going to be there, and sometimes they're not. Like, look at Khan and Kell Brook. We've been waiting for that for 5-6 years. Like, that should happen to go. And if it ever does happen, it's going to be an out of shape Khan, and Kell Brook that's way past it and has had a few injuries, taken a few big punches, and obviously isn't the same as what he was when he beat Sean Paul and then it was there. So it's just frustrating. But I think too many people are scared to. They don't mind fighting the absolute killers, because then it's like, well, I'm not avoiding no one. But the ones that, like, they could be beaten and it's like 50-50s, they're more scared of them than fighting the absolute killers. Your Spencers, your Crawfords, your Golovkins, your Kenneth. Like, they've all fought them, but not fighting each other. But it happens time and time again. And that's why I just want to commend Daniel Dubois and Joe-Joyce for that fight coming off. I fought on cards with both of them. I was on GB with both of them. I've known both of them for literally years. Like, people don't understand. Like, my brother used to spar Daniel Dubois, like, down Newham Gym, and Repton and whatnot. And I'm talking, my brother was like 13, 14, Daniel Dubois must have been about 10, like, or something like that. Like, because Daniel was probably still bigger than him then. But Joe-Joyce, the first time he ever came to the gym, my dad was one of the trainers at Earlsfield. Do you know what I mean? So I've known both of them for so long, people don't realise. And it's just great, and I hope they're getting a lot of money. People saying, what do you think about the pay-per-view? Yeah, 100% I agree with it. Give it a good card, though, please. Give it a good undercard. I've literally, since the fight's been announced, this morning, even though it's been the worst kept secret in the history of, like, domestic fights, I mean, because I heard about a month ago that this fight was made and signed for and whatnot. But give it a good undercard. I know I've had loads of messages, let's get Son Edwards on this card, which is not happening because my hands would not be ready. My hands would be ready for the 11th of April, but I wouldn't have had a good camp. I'd had about 5-6 weeks punching, which is just simply not enough with a little layoff. And I want big fight, so that's a shame. I'll be there though, watching, and I'm looking to get out in May. But I just want to commend them. I want to commend Frank Warren for again delivering a massive fight night on BT. I think Frank gets a lot of hard time a lot of the time. It splits opinion, do you know what I mean? Of course it does, but one thing Frank's very good at is building fighters and then putting them into good tests at the right time. And I think with other promoters, it's a lot of make or break sooner rather than later. If you've got it, let's go. If not, then we'll see a different route. But, like, we want to find out sooner rather than later. But think this is a good time for both of them. Joe Joyce is getting no younger. That's no secret, so he needs the fighters. This would be a guess, but I can't see him getting paid any more than this for any of the other fights short of like a world title. Yeah, maybe Dillian Whyte and stuff like that actually, but still they've been mixing at level. And I feel like the loss for Joyce would be a lot more damaging because it's like, how much more have you got left? But he'll still be fighting. If he loses, he'll still be fighting, and he's a big look at Derek Chisora. Every time he loses, he gets paid more than last time. You know what I mean? So, but Daniel Dubois, he's very young. He's younger than me, for God's sake, and it's just a great time. And I don't see nothing wrong with matchmaking like this. This is the matchmaking I'd like to see more of, because the loss isn't the end of the world. You don't see like Barcelona losing and then the next week just not turn up for the game and then just packing it in. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't happen. So why does it happen so much in boxing? And I think it's the way fans in boxing, for better or worse, they sort of pick up fighters, but they're quite quick to drop them as well, because you don't just... A lot of proper boxing fans, they have a couple of fighters that they just support, and they know, like, past the thing, they've always supported that fighter. But a lot of people are sort of like waves, when they're doing well, people get behind them, and then as soon as shit hits the fan, everyone just sort of pulls that support. But that's probably why people don't really think the loser is the worst thing in the world. But for me, just have them good fight nights, because really, when the entertainment is not looking at someone's record after, it's not being able to say they're unbeaten, and the thing is, when people are actually in the ring, that's the entertainment. Forget everything else around it. And I think with social media and the way things are, people build up too much for everything else. Undefeated records, padded records, international titles that look good in pictures. But the entertainment is the main thing, and that's in the ring, and that's how we save this sport. And as I say, save, so it's not in no need of saving, but that's how we keep this sport growing. How we are good fighters, and yeah, it's frustrating for some people. Oh, it shouldn't be pay-per-view, it's a British title. Yeah, but AJ and Whyte was, and at that time, Whyte hadn't, like, who was Whyte at that? Someone that beat AJ as an amateur, like, that was with Daniel Dubois. You've got like someone that's been headlining. Joe Joyce, you've got an Olympic silver medalist fighting for a British Commonwealth. Yeah, man, pay-per-view. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But I feel like it'll do decent. Obviously I don't think the market will be there outside of the UK, where some of the fights are. But the market in the UK, people should get behind it, and then you'll see more fights like this if the fans get behind these sort of fights. And I'm looking forward to the card they're putting on. I'll have an interest, because I'm pretty sure Harvey Horn and Joe Mafosa are on the undercard. I mean, I think that's another terribly kept secret. But yeah, I just hope the winner of that, I don't think they can call out me from that. Like, nah, they don't work like that.
Okay, I do want to talk about obviously what's coming up for you. You mentioned May. Obviously quite early now to say who you might be fighting. You've obviously mentioned you'd be happy to defend your British, but you're obviously ranked the number 4 by the WBO in the flyweight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, have you held any talks with MGK that you can talk to us about your next fight? Obviously, you're at super flyweight, picking up the British title, but you can drop back down. So, yeah, what can you tell us on that?
Well, the day that the news dropped of Tanaka vacating the flyweight and moving up to challenge Ioka at super flyweight, sent it straight to my management. They went, "What does your trainer think?" I went, "Yeah, let's go." They replied again, "What does your trainer think?" Spoke to Grant, 100%. The number 1 is Magramo, 24 wins, 20 knockouts, 1 loss, 1 point, to Mohamed Wasim, someone who I've sparred. So that gives me, from right there and then, there's a lot of confidence of the level that I mix at. And I went, yeah, trainer's 100% happy with it. Can we do it? They had a meeting there and then with Frank that day, and then they said they're working on it. And I mean, still a long way to go. That's McGraham might go no. WO might go no. They might not be able to make the money. There's a lot, but I've just made sure my intentions were clear, because luckily, actually, after that super flyweight fight, the IBF moved my ranking up to the super flyweight one, so I'm 8th in superfly. But the WBO kept me down at flyweight, and I'm 4th. So I'm actually ranked like 8th and 4th, but in 2 different weights. And luckily it just happened to be that it was the flyweight WBO. If it was the other way around, I wouldn't really have too much leg to stand on. But you got to remember, just from my perspective, I know I said British title, I've got it, and I want to win it outright, I still do. But a vacant WBO title, you know, Uncle Frank's my promoter. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't need to say too much more there. But he's got a good working relationship with WBO. And what else do they want me to do? I've won WBO European. I've won WBO International. I've won WBO Intercontinental. I've won all their titles pretty much, apart from like a couple of the new ones they've made, like the Global. I don't even know what that is, but you know what I mean. So I've been a servant and I've defended these titles as well. Remember, I've defended the European I think 3 times. So I've been a good servant to WBO, and they backed me and supported me, and they like me. And you can't quote me on this, but from the best of my knowledge, the top 5: a German kid, Mirko Martin, me, Nakatani Acosta, and Magramo. Out of these fighters, I would say I'm arguably one of the bigger names where I don't know the ins and outs of their management deals, promotion deals, but I know most of the fighters are fighting on fairly under the radar cards. You know, there's no one fighting out in America. There's no one fighting on like big like Manny Pacquiao cards, for example. Do you know what I mean? So I'm relatively confident that we would have the biggest promotional pull, and because I've said I want the number 1, I'll have the number 1, and I'll defend it against anyone, and I'll keep true to the rankings if I won. Maybe we can swing it and get it. Yeah, I was gonna just try and stay at this for a bit, but I feel like I'm ready, and I need these opportunities to pull the best out of me. And like I said, Magramo suffered 1 loss against Mohamed Wasim, who I shared rounds with on Lee McGregor's fight week with Cash Fruit. So that was a matter of months ago. Wasim beat him in his 5th fight. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it's a great opportunity, but still like a legit. You know, he's got 24 wins, 20 knockouts. What does that tell you? Do you know what I mean? He can punch. And he was a light flyweight, so he can punch very hard. He's in good shape. He's big, and he lets his hands go. And he's an exciting fighter as well, actually. And I'd probably be the underdog going into it. I would say, because he's still actually got a good couple of wins on his record as well. He beat the Chinese lad that beat Amnat Rong. He's like Weng Heng Fei or something like that. He beat him, took his O, and he was like a legit, like he was mixing up what they're about. So, but that's my intention, to try and get that. But if it not, that's fine. I'm not gonna like be kicking my toys at the pram. I might be a little bit disappointed because I feel like it's reasonable. I'm asking for. I don't feel like it's completely out of the world. Like a lot of people since that vacant thing have been like messaging or tagging me and stuff about the title, and it'd be a great opportunity for me and a great time as well to win a world title at flyweight when the other 3 champions at the moment are Murati Mutulani, who's someone I know personally, but he's an aged champion who hasn't lost in like 11 years or something. Only losses come to Nonito Donaire, and I think he's only lost to Nonito Donaire. I think he might have another one, which was like something silly early on, I think. He's not lost in 10, 11 years. And then Dalakayan, who I've been a sparring partner with, and for like probably about a period of about 5 weeks combined, 3 times a week. And Martinez, and everyone knows obviously Martinez. And if I get that, I would look to get those big fights on. And obviously the Martinez has a self-written backstory, so show me the money, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Because he's probably the biggest killer in the division at the moment. But it's something I definitely wouldn't shy away from. Given I know this is all hypothetical because the fight's not even there yet, like the original one. But these are the ambitions that I would have as a world champion. I feel like world champions have a right to the sport to take good fights, because the cheaper the fight for a world title, the cheaper the title. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone has their homecoming. They tend to have that voluntary homecoming. Like, I get that. But that's just my goal. That's where my mindset is. And a lot of people will be like, oh, he's not ready for it, or he won't win it, and that's fair enough. Everyone's got an opinion. It's an opinion sport. I mean, fights are decided by 3 man's opinions sat around the ring. But it's something that me and my team are looking at. And if not, I'll be still super fly instead, because that's a flyweight, and I'll try and win that British outright. So I've got options. I'm in a great place. But you know, that law of the world title is crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you hear it and your ears perk up, and it's realising dream sort of stuff. It's like movie sort of things, you know. And I feel like with Magramo being number 1, we'll get him over to the UK as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a vacant title. He'll want to fight for the vacant title. He hasn't fought for a world title before. He's worked his way up, you know, some good wins, won intercontinental titles, etc. So yeah, like that'd be good. But if not, we'll just see what they come up with. But I won't be ready until May. That's the main thing. May, maybe June. Well, no. May I'm ready for, but maybe the fight date that I get might be June. I'll be fighting before the summer 1,000,000%. Hopefully in a huge fight. If not, defend that British title that I value and cherish so much. And then obviously if I did challenge for a world title and lose, still got a British super flyweight that would keep me locked into title fights. But obviously if I won a world title flyweight, I wouldn't be able to keep the British super fly. I don't think. I don't know the rules, but I don't think I would be able to.
Two fights I do want to get your opinion on. You mentioned one of them, Martinez against Jay Harris, in end of February, I think, in Texas. Yep, for the WBC flyweight championship, and also same card, Cal Yafai defending his world title against Roman Gonzalez, Chocolatito. Can you break those two down for me? How do you see those two going?
I mean, Jay is actually a close friend of mine. I mean, he's been to my fights and etc. I was going to go over to the Paddy Barnes fight, but in no uncertain terms, I was told not to go. You know, you don't need to rile up a hostile crowd in potentially someone's last fight. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't. I listened to the advice. But I would honestly love him to do it. Like, I would feel like someone very close to me has won a world title or achieved something great. That's how much I want him to do it. That being said, fuck me, Martinez is a good fighter, and he's a drugs cheat as well. So he's got that extra, that little something that we haven't got. Do you know what I mean? But great fighter, and I don't know. I think in my head the way to beat Martinez is boxing him, but you never know when someone's getting pushed back, and that's what I think Jay's going to try and do because he's physically bigger than him. Probably doesn't punch as hard as him, but he might be physically stronger than him. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Obviously, if I've got to go for anything, you'd have to favour Martinez. Like, I feel like very, very few people are not, but very few people don't want Jay to do it because it'll be huge. Not for him, but that'll be a massive scalp because how known now Martinez is in British boxers, British boxing fans. So that'd be great. And then Cal Yafai Gonzalez. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they've waited till the end of his career. But for me, like, I do, if Cal goes and wins, I don't want to hear that, oh, well, he's 70 years old and he's had 500 fights and he's shot to people. I really don't want to hear it. I hate that. Do you know what I mean? Especially because he's only lost to one person in his career and he's got a couple wins since then. And one thing that Gonzalez can do is have a scrap. And that's what Cal... I don't think Cal's got 12-round boxing in him. That's just not him. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it ever will be, and it never has been. So I think we're going to see fireworks in that one. That's a really exciting. And then, again, I know Charlie's had that whole thing with Cal. But say if, for any reason, Cal is like a future opponent for me at any time. But it's never really been on my radar because he's always been about 5 or 6 steps ahead at any stage of my pro career. I think he might have been a world champion when I turned pro, or just become one like in the first year or something. So I would like to see Cal do it for British boxing. You know, the more British champions, world champions, the better. Simple fact. The bigger shows over here, everything, and it's definitely a winnable thing. But if people think, oh yeah, that's just a name on his record now, it couldn't be further wrong because you don't lose that class, you don't lose punch power either. I mean, Cal is bigger than him. Gonzalez hasn't looked great at Superfly, but he's still a world elite fighter. Of course he is. All that being said, he's not the same fighter he was a couple of years ago, but who is?
Move on to Charlie, obviously, fought Martinez. Spoke to him again in November. He said he's looking to move up to Bantamweight.
Yeah.
How's his mindset been with, this potential jump to Bantamweight? Do you feel like that's a better weight for him? Obviously, I know he was very honest to me and said he was really struggling at the weight for that last fight. But now, do you think he's going to be a lot more comfortable at Bantamweight?
Yeah, well, definitely. It's all about finding the right balance. Like, you don't want to be too comfy because obviously then you're just simply not big enough for the weight. But one thing about Charlie, he eats very well and he trains very hard, so he'll be able to go up through the weights. Like, Bantamweight will not be the stop. I reckon you'll end up seeing him looking like quite filled out, up to like featherweights and stuff later on in his career. But yeah, Bantamweight, that's what I said. I didn't want to see him at Superfly because people don't realise that for the last 3 years of Charlie's amateur career, he was 52 kilos, which is basically super flyweight as a professional. And then after the Casemiro, he was a super flyweight for another like year and a half. and then went back down. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's putting through your body for a lot. When you spent 2 years, and obviously you would have spent it much heavier than that, but then that would have been the weight it's coming down to and then going back up. So doing that for a few years and a few fights, like, people don't realise how much it does to your body. And that last fight, it did take a hell of a lot out of him. Obviously, I was there during camp. He said that he would never fight at that weight again 3 or 4 weeks out before. And that's fact. That's on everything. He said that. Called me and Grant in. And Grant said, yeah, I was never letting you, even if they dangled unification or anything. Like, but Charlie just didn't want to give up that green belt. And I suppose he didn't really give it up in the ring. He didn't lose it in the ring. But he didn't want to... Like, Martinez, when Charlie got mandated Martinez and was given something like 6 or 7 weeks notice, he could have thought, nah, do you know, I'm going to wait now. Do you know what I mean? But he didn't want that. Do you know what I mean? Especially after what he did to Andrew Selby, he knew that was a fucking dangerous fight. Like, he knew how good Martinez was, but that's not him. So that's probably why it affects him more hearing people now saying, "Oh, he just gave up," rather than like he physically couldn't. Look at him on the scales, man. Pull up them pictures. Pull up his eyes, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we're not going to talk about on cameras because it's been and gone now. But like, he did a lot to make that weight. And it took a lot out of him. Just making that weight on that day, like it did take a lot, and it was not nice to see. Don't get me wrong, other boxers have been there. Pretty much every trainer or camp has got a story of one of these, but you don't keep letting your fighter go into that. Do you know what I mean? And him struggling with the weight at the end isn't because of cutting corners, isn't because not training hard enough, isn't because of diet, isn't because of nutrition, or it's not. It's physically he couldn't boil his body down anymore. Like, look at the shape that he come in, like. But when it goes from being ripped, shredded, to sort of being too lean. Do you know what I mean? And that's the stage that he got to. But he just didn't want to give up that world title. Something that he'd achieved, and that's probably why it affects him a bit more. People saying, "Oh, he gave it up. He ran away from the rematch." It's fair enough. People can say what they want, but that's definitely not the case. Definitely not for us anyway. And you'll probably see better amount of bantamweight because one thing that Charlie's got is that speed. But when he's too down on weight, he loses the resilience that he shows in sparring. I know sparring's different, but when he's up at like 57, 58, 59, 60 kilos, it's like anyone will tell you that he's a handful and physically like strong. He can take a shot. Do you know what I mean? But when you're boiled down at the weight and you've only got 24 hours or whatever to recover, it's hard. Do you know what I mean? I know that myself. And I've never had to make weight like he has because I'm a little fat bastard that does cut the corners. Do you know what I mean? So if I struggle with weight, it's because I have cut corners. Like 3 weeks out of my, or probably less than that, I was eating like Monster Munch and having Curiously Cinnamon at 12 o'clock at night and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But I can assure you it's not the case for Charlie. So I'm glad he's gone up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with him. I mean, I know he came out and said to everyone that he's a free agent, but to the best of my knowledge, until the world title win, he hadn't been in a contract with Eddie Hearn since when he first signed like a 5-fight deal or something. So I don't think he meant it as in like I've left Eddie Hearn. Like that's not what he was saying. He's just saying now since the world title he actually isn't contracted to him now. But for 10 of his fights with Eddie Hearn, he was never contracted with him. Does that make sense? So he's just saying that there is options potentially if Eddie's not like too buzzing about working with him again or doesn't really care. Because obviously Eddie's got a lot on. And Charlie's in a position now where he's going to be a fairly big little fish in any pond. And with Eddie sort of not really too caring about British fighters that are fighting in Britain, maybe it makes sense to be a bigger name on one of the other platforms. You know, come over to Uncle Frank, for example. And maybe that would work. I don't know. Like, this is just me speaking. I haven't actually spoken to my brother about this, and that's hand on heart. I feel like if he wants to speak to me or ask me stuff, then I will. But I'm not gonna be trying to get information out of him because I don't think he really knows. He was just sort of putting it out there that he's not in contract. But like I said again, Charlie's always been on Sky, always boxed for Eddie Hearn. Even when he weren't in contract for about 10, I think from fight 5 to fight 14, so maybe 9 fights he wasn't in contract. He was just got offered a fight, take a fight, turn down a fight. Do you know what I mean? It was just that. So he probably will go back to that again. I don't know. But he's just in a position where now other promoters will actively maybe seek for him. I mean, and there's offers there because I would like him maybe to come over to Uncle Frank just because I feel like we do good on a show together, both proper fights. and it's something that we've always wanted to do and we spoke about for years, and we always thought it'd probably come maybe like on an MTK kind of thing, but if it could be on BT and stuff, then why not? Because that's a huge platform, and Charlie carries a lot of weight in his name as one of the recent British world champions, and not that he's also kind of bridging the gap a little bit. No, he's not there yet, but he's bridging the gap a little bit between just being a boxer and being someone that's like recognised for other things. Do you know what I mean? Like he's very, how do you put it? Like you can't really go too many places without someone recognising him. Do you know what I mean? And he's got to that point now, and for being a boxer and still someone that's actually wanting to be an active boxer with goals, that's a good thing because it just your profile is bigger. You've got access to bigger fights, bigger titles, more people watch, and obviously that comes with its downfalls. There's more negative as well. There's more people wanting to see you foul, etc. But that's just with anything in life, Look at like Umar. I thought Umar, like I didn't know how famous he actually was, like until obviously there was that little scandal, and I know I spoke out in defence of him. I'm not defending his actions or what he said, but my biggest thing is about cancel culture that I don't agree with. Me at the time when O'Hara Davies got kicked off the show and dropped by his management, etc. Me and O'Hara at this point actually didn't like each other. Like, I would like not speak to him. Like, do you know what I mean? If I asked about him, I'd start saying nothing like him. Obviously, we're cool now. But I defended what happened with him before. Just this whole cancel culture, I can't stand. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, people make mistakes, but I've made mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, I put a tweet out which isn't actually like false either. I think when I was like 13 or 14, and I think my dad was really struggling. Like he was selling things to keep us being able to go boxing and keep like selling sold his car and then got to. You know what I mean? It was like we were struggling. And so seeing that, and then like the sort of like BMP and them sort of right parties and them ideals of in my young head at the time, it was like you get told that the reason as to why you're struggling so much is because immigrants and like the policies that you see, like the sort of blanket ones are, we'll take the homeless British people off, like put them in houses and tax immigrants more, and just those little things like that. But then when you actually look into it and realise how much hate fueled is that these parties like BNP and whatever else they're using the fuel from poor people to make money off the poor people. They don't even realise it. Do you know what I mean? They're not helping them. They haven't got their best interests at heart. They use hate to drive money off these poor people, and it just makes them worse by blaming whatever they can blame, immigrants or immigration or housing, healthcare. Do you know what I mean? And so me at one point, bear in mind I am arguably one of the least racist people I think that I know. Do you know what I mean? I'm really not. I mean, my kids mixed race. All my best friends are from all different types of races, religions, cultures. But at one point, when I was 14, 15, there's probably a tweet there, something saying me going, well, if you don't like the country, go back. Like, probably somewhere. I mean, you can try to find it, I really don't care. Like, there probably is, though. So, but I'm not the same person I was 10, 11 years ago. I don't think anyone else. I know it was a bit more recent, but the Umar now that's travelled around the world compared to the Umar that probably went on a couple of holidays to Benidorm and Tenerife, and do you know what I mean? It is two very, very different people. And especially when there's a lot of things like, which is fair enough. It's not my place to say who can get angry and how angry people can get. But what do you expect someone to be unemployed for the rest of their life over a tweet or something like that? It's a bit balmy. And with the whole OD thing, I was so annoyed at that is because I understand Eddie Hearn's position, but like when you have a management team, they're supposed to manage you regardless of good or bad. Do you know what I mean? I've watched enough episode of Ballers yet to know what goes on in the background of superstar athletes' lives and all the different things, girls getting pregnant, all different things. Like, but your management is actually meant to manage you and help you no matter what happens. Like, because really, like, they're expected to do that because they're signed to you, not just what OD's management at the time did when. So, I mean, I hate stuff like that because it's not loyalty. And then even when after all of that, and then you hear rumours that OD still had offers from Matchroom to go back with more money than he was getting before, etc. So I think money rules all, but I don't like this whole pitchfork brigade. It just reminds me of the scene out of Shrek when everyone's chasing him with the pitchforks and the torches and that. But that's why I defended him, not his actions. Don't get me wrong, and an apology was definitely requested. And if he never gets to work on like a Liverpool show, I understand stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I understand all stuff like that, but just to absolutely try and X him out and fighters. Bear in mind, Fowler's a friend of mine, but you know, but he can say and do whatever he wants. That's his right. No one can take that away from him. And I understand how deep the whole Sun side, the Hillsborough disaster. I know that tweet was aimed at a football chant about the Haysel murders, but a lot of the time they're just sort of they're intertwined. Do you know what I mean? They're linked. I understand them. I've researched them. I've actually did university pieces on that exact tragic incident. But I understand it. But I have empathy and I can sympathise with the people that don't have that knowledge. I know it's ignorance. That's what 100% is, ignorance, and people don't understand how powerful their words can be. But not really until it's all getting shoved in your face and there's like a horde of people. Do you really know it is? But that's what everyone has done, said, or do you know how many people have opinions that they won't voice publicly, but on a private conversation will tell you exactly how they feel, but they won't voice them publicly. And I know that's an opinion that should never have been voiced publicly, but I'm just saying, take away from that. Like, that's why I just don't like it, because no one's perfect. Do you know what I mean? No one's perfect, and I feel like as the boxing community, you can do a lot more. Not just the boxing community, you can do a lot more meeting hate with education. Try to guide people, try and approach things different ways rather than cancel culture and meeting it with hate. Because let's say he did do that and then he's never working in boxing again. Well, what do you think he's going to do? He's just going to end up hating Scousers more. Do you know what I mean? That's the only result of that. But if someone actually sat him down, talked to him, and like, I don't know, maybe took him to people that are affected, and if that's how deep they want to go into it, that's how angry they are, do something like that, you know, actually educate someone to make a difference, not cancel culture, call him a dickhead and see if I ever see him, I'm going to give him a slap on the side of the head. Like, that's not achieving nothing but more hate, and that's what I think as a country, as a culture and a community, that's the sort of stuff we can work on. And obviously, really, this is like such a small thing for a lot of people, such a big thing for a lot of other people. That's why there's such a two sides. But yeah, I think education and knowledge passing and showing what these things actually mean to people. Like, you know, if one of these fighters, Tony Bellew or Fowler or someone that's actually took him to places, took him to people that have lost relatives or people that have lost their husbands, or do you not think he would get an instant reality check? Because obviously, being from London, he's never had that as that's not his history growing up. Do you know what I mean? That's what I just think we can work on, meeting ignorance and you know, poor comments with education and an insight as to what your words actually mean. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I think a lot of racist people, a lot of ignorant people, a lot of race people, homophobic people, Zionists, whatever, it comes a lot from ignorance and lack of relation to people, not mixing with them. And that's just, I know I've just gone completely off topic, there's nothing really to do with boxing, but that's just like my opinion on them side of things. And a lot of people will be like, yeah, do you know what, I agree with Sonny, he's got a good head on his shoulders and that's a good viewpoint. And because a lot of people have said that. But then there's also people commenting, wow, you're a dickhead, how are you going to let someone talk about 96 Days? But do you know what I mean? And I understand their anger, but if you stay angry your whole life, nothing's ever getting achieved, I think. So yeah, that'd be interesting. That's what I would like actually to see happen. Like, I would like him to stay with IFL, and maybe even document it, and then that takes a negative, something that seems like such a bad thing, spins it on its head, and then now Umar would be a person that's been to someone like this, faced it, face like a man, faced it face on, seen what it's actually done to people, and do you think he's ever going to have them thoughts again? No, he's not. And not only that, it can also educate a mass of people from something bad. Something like that would be good. I mean, I don't think it will happen, but I'm advising that it should, but I think something like that would be good. In cases like these, that's when you really know. Like, there's ways that we could definitely improve on getting what we want. And I feel like maybe this is me being a bit ignorant and being a bit naive to the whole thing, but it's like a lot of people just get angry for a second and then forget about it until it's back in their face. So until they see him pop up again on an interview, then they'll get angry at it. And then what's that going to keep happening for the rest of his days or the rest of your days? It's just, let's try and achieve something at some point. Do you know what I mean?
Just want to come on to one last thing.
Yeah.
Wilder Fury, the big rematch coming up. Have you had a chance to think about that, assess it, weigh it up? How do you see this second fight going? On the record, Tyson Fury said he believes he can knock him out in 2 rounds. We all saw what happened last time out. Very controversial, a lot of debate. How do you see that second fight going?
I mean, one thing's for sure, I don't think anyone's hit Fury, especially not in a professional boxing ring, as hard as Wilder has. I know from personal experience that when you felt how someone hits, it's for me because I've never boxed anyone in the pro ring twice, but when you when you're getting in there knowing the weapon that you're facing, it makes you very aware of it. But that isn't always a bad thing. So I don't believe that Fury... You might believe it, but I don't see the whole second round knockout going and then just storming him. I don't see that. I think he'll be very wary, very cautious, and that might play in his hands more. Because if he'll be aware of a lot of it, knowing how much it can hurt him, how much it can change the fight, then he'll do things to avoid getting caught with that. We know that a Wilder doesn't mind going 9, 10, 11 rounds without really doing too much, because he believes in himself that he's going to get him. I mean, I think if you shrunk down a Wilder to a flyweight, I don't think he'd have all that much success. Don't get me wrong, he'd probably be like world level with that punch, but like, smaller people tend to get up a bit more than the bigger people, hence why there's a lot more knockouts that and a lot less that side. Because you got to be banking it around as a flyweight. You can't rely on punches, no matter who you are. Like,
Wilder at flyweight, that'd be interesting.
That'd be mad, wouldn't it? But do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense. You know what I mean? But for me, in my head, it's making sense. But I know I've got in the ring with people that have like hit me hard in sparring before, and the next time, but sometimes for me it just raises that little bit of making them miss that little bit more, giving them that opportunity a little bit less. Like so that could do with Fury, and I reckon he could definitely give him a boxing lesson again. I do. But at the same time, with Fury's got a cannon for a right hand, so both hands. What am I saying? So if he hits him, the same thing can happen. But then again, Fury did get up, so I don't know. That's what's so exciting about it. I mean, I was meant to go over there. I was looking forward to it, but because of things have changed, I'm not going no more. But yeah, that'll be interesting. That's the fight I'll definitely be watching. I mean, we should be celebrating my friend Levi's comeback fight, a win. Touch wood. So we should be all in the casino or something or somewhere, all surrounded to watch that, and that should be a good night. Looking forward to it.
Great stuff, Sonny. Appreciate all the time you've given me today.
No.
Look forward to seeing some fight news when it comes, and by the end of say 2020, how do you see it? How do you see your career path going?
Hopefully, I've either got a world title around my waist, or I'm coming back from a world title loss. Like, I do want to challenge for one this year, so they're the two options. If not, be very close to having my British outright.
Brilliant. Sonny, thanks very much, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, no, thank you.